our friend Shri Balaji to present his views.
I feel honored to introduce and welcome Mr. Balaji Kumar, Chief Human Resource Officer at Sonata Software. Brings over 2 decades of strategic and operational expertise in the talent and people management functions across various industries. A leader with an impressive track record, he has held key roles including CHRO at L&T Infotech, where he led the global HR functions. Balaji's career following his master's in HRM from Tata Institute of Social Sciences spans reputed companies like Hindustan Unilever, Coca-Cola, Citibank, Microsoft, and the L&T Group. Renowned for his people-centric approach, he partners closely with stakeholders to design and implement human capital strategies that derives business success and enhance organizational outcomes. His dedication to fostering talent is evident in his certifications as a coach in organizational development and talent management practitioner. Passionate about personality, culture, and HR excellence, Balaji strives to bring out the best in individuals and teams, creating a thriving environment for success. His deep commitment to people development and organizational excellence makes him a valued leader at Sonata Softwares. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Balaji Kumar.
Thank you so much. Don't believe any one of that. As I stand here, I think I feel lucky because I'm a product of Tata Institute of Social Sciences and TISS. For the 2 years that we spent on campus, the spirit of service was inculcated in the entire environment. And I also feel blessed that I started my career with Hindustan Lever as a management trainee. And HLL those days had designed their management trainee scheme in such a manner that 2.5 months we actually would spend in rural Uttar Pradesh, staying with the families in their households and doing community service. And in hindsight, for a lot of us, that's been a transformative experience because it gave us so much of understanding as to how the real India operates and works, and that's how we've been able to bring it to our workplace. Having said that, what I'm going to speak is, it'll pale into insignificance in terms of what we have heard before, the impactful work that a lot of you have done and showcased here. But this is a summation of my last 25 years of work across organizations, some practices that I saw and implemented, some I designed and deployed there. So there are just 6 actions, or 6 or 7 actions that I have compiled here. Can we move on to the next one? Yeah. A lot of this is something which is known, which you will understand probably, and you'll be able to relate to. But there are 2 or 3 which are very prominent, which are very close to my heart. One, which is in terms of the IT services context. Today in the organization that I operate in, what we do is that we partner with a lot of NGOs and self-help groups. So there are our employees who actually not only volunteer, but they are paid for their time to work with those NGOs in terms of helping them digitize, creating their websites, or even skilling and upskilling their entire people, right? So that's something which has been found to be extremely beneficial, not only for the partners that we work with, but also the employees. They really look forward to contribute to some of these organizations in bringing out their core expertise and thereby serving the society at large. The second thing which I really want to stress about is leadership development. I think the speaker before me spoke about leadership development. And this is where in the past, when we were designing leadership development programs, we ensured that as part of the entire learning, action learning projects, we partnered with NGOs with whom we used to work, or we actually reached out some of the NGOs where they were in need of certain expertise. And we created action learning projects which would be like a capstone for all their learning. And they worked with those self-help groups and those NGOs in terms of not only designing their strategy, go-to-market operationalization, or even vision, values. I mean, you name it, and they have done multiple projects in that. And the idea basically came from the fact that when we reached out to some of our corporate partners, they were a lot hesitant to allow some of these people to go and do action learning projects. But the openness with which NGOs, the openness with which self-help groups actually embraced them, when participants came back from the exercise, one thing which a lot of people continued to say was that more than what we gave to them, they gave us so much that it was a transformative experience, right? So that's something which kind of, at least in 2 or 3 organizations, we have done it diligently in terms of embedding the spirit of service in leadership development. And that's proved to be a very transformational experience for a lot of those participants. The 5th one that you see might sound a bit cocky, but that's something which has been something which stayed for the organization where I worked for a long, long time, where we realized, it started with a simple case where one errant employee, irrespective of whatever disciplinary actions which we took, this person would not really budge. Then one suggestion came, and those were the days when this was in Delhi, and we were working with an NGO which used to work with children, especially orphans who have been left. So as a last resort, we sent this gentleman. He had huge attitudinal problems or issues or whatever you would call it, but a good performer. So we sent him to the NGO to work with them for 3 days. That was as part of a disciplinary action. Trust me when I say this, when he came back, he was a completely transformed individual. He was a completely transformed individual. And with tears in his eyes, and I still recall this scene, this was 20 years back, he said that today for the first time I realized how blessed I am and how is it that I'm wasting my life by indulging in these petty fights. And from there on, it was a transformation for that individual, and that became then a core practice, not just from a disciplinary point of view, but we then instituted this entire thing in an organization to say that in a year, every employee can take 3 days off and work with an NGO of their choice. But the only thing is they need to come back and share with everybody what are the key learnings that they've had and what is that one action they would want to continue to do for the rest of the year in their life. Right. So that's something which kind of proved to be a very, very beneficial exercise for everybody. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the 6th one where we created a policy where we would give 3 days time off for people to go back to the community and work with them. So these are some of the actions that we have taken in the past. I have personally been witness to it. I've designed that. And some of the benefits that we have seen, again, this is something that has been spoken by speakers earlier. In the leadership development initiative, the intervention that we spoke about, the amount of empathy which the people were able to really experience, not only in terms of what those people are going through, but also understanding from a customer's point of view. Right? This was an intervention. One of the interventions, leadership intervention that we did was where we were grappling with how do we develop business acumen and customer empathy in our people and our so-called leaders. And after this intervention, not only, business part was one side, but somehow something happened there, and we could not decode it. But their ability to not only listen, but put themselves in the shoes of the other person, right, dramatically increased. So the ability to empathize with people significantly improved there. A lot of people saw a sense of meaningfulness and purpose in what they were doing, and I have at least 9 or 10 instances of people who, after these interventions, pursued those interests outside of work, and today they have left their jobs and actually have started self-help groups, NGOs, and volunteering work, and they're so satisfied with what they're doing. And that's where even today a lot of people say that the seeds that you've sown is where we found our sense of purpose and meaningfulness, and we have been able to take it forward. And last but not the least, the feeling of gratitude, that what they have is something that they should cherish, and not only just cherish, but how is it that they can multiply and pass it on and create a positive impact. And to be speaking in very selfish terms, that has had a very beneficial runoff effect at the place of work that they are working, at a later point in time. So those are some of the experiences that I wanted to share with you, but thank you so much for patiently listening to me.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of United Council for Ancient Wisdom and United Global Peace Foundation, I thank Mr. A. Balaji Kumar for sharing his views. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Balaji, for mentioning about Danutsav, Shramdan, and many